And here we go, folks. We bring you the one and only Team Liquid's Huck. It is in the red trunks. Yes, it is a machine. It is now fully Protoss. It is neither man nor woman. It is in the red trunks, and it is playing to the southeast versus his opponent, the one and only Mana from Team Mousesports. He is in the green trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the northwest.
Will Huck pull off another 4-gate here? It's still very viable. 4-gate is pretty viable on pretty much all the maps,
of course.
Really. And aside from obvious ones such as Talisman, Altar, Scrap Station, so on and so on. So it's still viable here. And I think Mana, he's not going to go for DTs again, that's for sure. He's going to play straight up now.
Yeah, not after being burnt like that. That's a real problem, and it is unfortunate that that ended up happening. I think perhaps if Mana had gone for this, there is this build, there's that 2-gateway 3-stalker chrono boost build that can be used to shut down a 4-gate before it really even begins, but some people have said it's not really viable at high level, so it was a possibility. It didn't happen. I was honestly expecting a Blink Stalker. I mean, if he'd actually gone with Blink Stalkers and was able to micro properly, then he would have been able to win that engagement. We've seen Soke do it before over and over again in PvP.
Even if you go Blink Stalker that early, is that you don't really have enough units out in time to actually deal with any forward pressure like that.
Yep.
So it was always swinging towards DTs. I was kind of praying it wasn't going to be that, because I'd much rather see Mana play a lot more straight up.
Yeah, the DT play was really an all or nothing, and by the time the Dark Templar actually came into effect, that was really that. He was already dead. Whatever the case, Gateway's going up at about the same time for both, as well as the simulators right here. Huck playing really close to his base right here. If you look at how these pylons are arranged, very much a close build, trying to play a little bit of SimCity as he was previously, and indeed it's what won him game 1.
And we can already note that both these players are saving up Chrono Boost after the double Chrono Boost initially.
Interesting.
So this could be indicative of some form of 4-gate here. Well, I guess there's only one kind of form of 4-gate, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that come out now. It's still very viable, as mentioned before. And here comes a second gas from Mana. If it's real or not, we will find out. At the same time, is he skipping the Zealot again? Yes, he is skipping that Zealot out. So he will be going straight for that Chrono Boosted Stalker.
Yeah, and that means, of course, that Huck can hang around in the base for a while. He will have the opportunity to see whether or not this gets cancelled. So I can't imagine this was a cancel. Mana already knows that, and of course it is not. So as soon as that Cybernetic Skull goes up, Chrono Boost the Stalker to drive that out of there, and then it can really go any way, honestly. That's the crazy thing about this matchup. Second gas is going to be taken for Huck, but once again, it could be a cancel, and Mana being forced out, Chrono Boost the Stalker is almost complete.
Yeah, I mean, the Stalker's going to come out now. It's going to chase that probe away, and we'll have to see does Huck cancel or not. I mean, all his Chrono Boost has gone into the Cybercore. There leaves the probe. There comes the Stalker. Is it a cancellation again from Huck? Is he going to stick with it? Looks like he's going to stick with it.
Yes,
and there his transfer is down, so we're not going to be seeing a 4-gate here from Huck. And most likely we'll be seeing some Twilight cancel. I know Huck does like to go Blink Stalkers because his control is so good. But
yeah,
nope,
of course.
Robotics Facility.
Of course, why not? Might as well. Yeah. Let's go for that. Whatever the case, a very smart play there by Huck, simply playing mind games. He actually went out with the same force that he went out with previously, and Mana really now does not know whether or not that was a cancel or whether or not it's something else entirely. And in this case, it is your nice run-of-the-mill 3-gate robo.
Yeah, and he's got that Robotics Facility early. He's being a bit greedy here, getting it first of all. Rather than he's kind of switched it around. The usual players, you go 3-gate, then add the robo, but he's got it early, playing a little bit greedy, playing on the fact that he did 4-gate that first game, knowing Mana will be a little bit more defensive, will be scanning around a little bit harder, and we do have a probe that snuck around to this left-hand side, which kind of escaped the vision of Mana. I'm not sure if he will go check it. In the meantime, we do have the 3 gateways, and I'm sure we've seen that Twilight Cancel coming down very soon. So already we know that the Robotics Facility is pretty good against Twilight Cancel. Oh no, it's actually going to be a Robo. So Huck has got a slight advantage here already because obviously he's ahead of the 10. And he's got a slight build order advantage here. He can go for the 1 Immortal and then go straight into the Robotics Bay. So, but he has put a forward pile which might give some pressure here.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. The possibility, of course, being that he just put it there just in case he might be able to apply it if he sees that his opponent is out of position or maybe wants to do some harassment. That said, of course, this could go any way. The Immortal coming out is perhaps a little bit indicative, perhaps you don't agree, of him believing that his opponent might go with Blink Stalker.
Yes, of course, yeah. I mean, the Immortal is such a great unit, and there we see the Twilight Council going down for Huck as well. So we'll be going for this very shortly here. Meanwhile, the Robotic Facility does finish from Mana. Is he going to go for the Observer first? Yes, he is. The Observer is going to be coming out. So both players are going to scout around the same time as each other. obviously Huck having a slight advantage having that Immortal out, and gone for the Twilight Cancel. Very, very decisive here from Huck.
Yep.
We'll be following this up with Blink, using Blink and an Immortal here, and the pylon down there will be used for reinforcing this. And the thing is, in Protoss versus Protoss, hidden expansions are pretty good.
Yes.
And, players haven't quite worked that out a lot, and look, Probe was trying to escape to do that. Huck sending a single Zealot in to scout the composition, and that will be picked off quite dead. Sees only Stalkers, doesn't really know what's behind that, is going to presume that's Blink, and will be falling into the base with that Observer. And we do have a Probe for mana in the center of the map, and all these units moving out, and Huck does not want to lose that Observer, by the way.
No, he does not. That would not be a good situation at all, and he might end up losing it. Observers do not move fast enough. Can he move across the crevasse? He cannot, and that is now nailed down quite nicely, and Mana in a really good position. I'd also like to point out that for the longest time, Mana's actually had a slight economic advantage in terms of his probe count, and is pulling in slightly more minerals as a direct result of that.
And Huck is left completely in the dark now. He sees nothing aside from that early game scouting. Though Mana has to be careful here. He's got to be careful if he gets poked up, if he gets trapped by a force field, obviously. Oh, the Observer does well. If he gets trapped, those has to return. Could have lost a lot there, will return. And Blink now has finished for Huck, though he can chase down these Stalkers. This could be quite big, actually.
Yeah, the Blink is done, so he can pounce. The question is, does he have the firepower? He's actually, well, it's pretty equal, honestly, but he's going to be dashing all the way across the map. In the meantime, there we go. Huck's warped in 3 additional Stalkers that are now ready to catch his opponent as he goes in. So that's really, really well played there by Huck, who's going to go right for it. There we go. Pounces in for both sides. Mana's Force will absolutely crush in the process. Really great play, and of course Huck not losing a single Stalker in the process, but he is now facing down 2 Immortals, and he is getting the hell out of there.
Yeah, I mean, 2 Immortals are pretty good, and he doesn't want to lose the Observer again, loses another Observer.
Oh my.
But he's pretty good because he knows that 2 Immortals have been invested, which means there's no robotics base gone down this early, and he obviously knows there's no DTs at all. So he's doing pretty good. He does have Blink, and Mana doesn't quite have Blink yet. And look at this Mana ball to take this expansion here. At the same time, we have Huck doing exactly the same, and you don't see this very often in PvP.
What, PvP going past 1 base? Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, and he can poke up now, do a little bit of pressure. Got to be careful, just use an immediate Stalker there. Doesn't have Blink, and look at that, counter Blink.
Mana with a counter attack, and very nicely timed. Of course, Blink has a 10-second cooldown, which means, hey, we can rain down a little bit of damage on you if you happen to get a little bit too greedy. And that's exactly what happens there for Huck, losing several Stalkers in the process. And the army composition of Huck is now slightly behind his opponent. And of course, there are 2 Immortals to Huck's 1, and a few more Stalkers right here for Mana.
He's got to be so. That's the thing with Blink is just so mobile. You have to be so close to the move, so careful when moving around the map.
Oh yes.
And 2 Immortals are going to go around and just pick off his pylon. He knows it was there clearly from the scouting Zealot and the 3 Stalkers that came around, but a bit of an engagement in the middle of the map.
There we go. Blink Stalker versus Blink Stalker. This is always fun. Who has the better control? And right now, Mana with a really aggressive Blink, and that I think was actually a mistake. And that has cost Mana a good number of Stalkers as Huck blinks in and takes several away from his opponent.
Yeah, and he was actually jumping in to snap the Observer for the millionth time in this game. And takes a few hits because of that. Lucky Stalker there. Gets out just in time.
Yep, shields are up, a couple force fields coming in right here. The question is, does Huck really want to engage against 2 Immortals? He pushes the Immortals away with force fields. Excellent play right there, and Stalker's now raining down some damage on Liquid Huck.
Now he's going to target by these Immortals. They go down really fast. Aggressive Blink from Mana. He knows he's in trouble as the Immortals go down. Now Huck has a clear advantage right now.
Huck pouncing right now. Mana needs to get the hell out of there immediately. Fall back to the defensive line and do something really, really radical to deal with this. He target fires one, a quick blink in there by Huck, who is now actually caught in the corner, and Mana should be able to hold this, I would think.
I mean, but they both have equal Stalkers here, so it's very, very close. The health is a little bit better for Huck, though, who does come out on top. 3 more reinforcing Stalkers are coming down, but 3 Warping Stalkers. The Sentry is left alone. Unfortunately, Sentry.
How unfortunate. Yeah. They do not, in fact, which is very, very awkward. And now Huck out of there once again, and this is a battle of teleportation.
Yeah, and another Immortal is being made now from Mana. He will be pulling that down, and it's so close right now between units, between probes. Looking at probes, 41 versus 38 for Huck, so just 3 difference there. And now Huck's going up. He's taking the gases now, taking 3rd and 4th. I'm sure we'll be seeing that robotic space thrown down very, very shortly now. Oh, actually, he's going to throw down another gateway instead. Going to pile on the pressure with these extra gateways.
And if we have a look at the economic comparison, we'll note that Mana has, for the longest time, and now still has actually a 1 probe advantage. He's had a few probes for a while, and This is giving him a little bit of an edge, not a huge amount, but yeah, this pressure is going to be very, very dangerous. And Mana going in once again, and that would be Mana's Observer staying alive for once. Hux goes down for, what, the 4th time, but Mana needs to leave now, honestly. He's taking too many losses. He does have an additional warp in right there, hiding in the bushes, so if he's able to target fire this down quite nicely, he should be in a good position. A blink up onto the rocks right there. Very nicely played by Mana. He takes one. He looks to snipe off the second, and it looks like he's not going to get that one, but once again, we've got some really indecisive engagements going on in the middle of the map.
Hug does have the production lead now. As soon as these gateways finish, he will have more gateways out, and the probe count so close. 43 for Mana, 42 for Huck, 75 food for Huck, 81 for Mana now. That one Immortal left at home alone on the natural. We're seeing another gateway being added on, so we're going to have equal gateway count very, very shortly.
Yeah, adding the Immortal into the mix will be quite nice. Of course, it makes the Force a little bit less mobile, but it works pretty well. Huck is now going with Charging Zealot, and this is really shifting into an area of the PvP game that I'm not overly familiar with.
Yes, Zealot is great, actually. You're actually able to combat against Blink Stalkers a lot easier with these Zealots once they have charge, so that's going to be great. But Huck being forced to spend, I don't even know how much gas he spent on all these observers throughout the entire game.
It's a lot.
Maybe the reason why he's got a Force Simulated to deal with that.
And there's an aggressive blink right there by Mana, who picks off one, and of course the Immortal doing big, big damage to those armored units. No upgrades for either side up until this point, and Huck going in once again. Now the question is, does Mana have a good enough concave here? I think he might, and this is really going to be interesting one way or the other. Mana backs off just slightly and wants to protect that Immortal as much as possible, but this engagement really isn't going anywhere either way, and that's another Observer picked off. That's probably about 9 killed this particular game. Mana now with an aggressive pylon, now able to apply the pressure. Will that gateway advantage go into effect? The charging Zealots aren't going to make a lot of difference if they're dead. That's what's going to be happening right now. He nails down the shields on the Immortal. He can target fire that down almost immediately. Now Mana with a really good concave right here, but Hug is blinking incredibly well. Really good control. Backs off and wants to try and get that Zealot leg speed before he engages once again. Mana is not letting up though. He's piling on the pressure right now. If he can shut down that pylon, that's going to make reinforcements incredibly hard. He looks to try and take down the right flank, which immediately crumbles as Mana continues to rain down pressure on Huck, who is currently melting right now. Mana doing an incredibly good job of microing those Blink Stalkers. There's the pull off the line right here as Mana continues to drill his way through the defenses of Huck, and it looks like Huck, GG, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. And Mana right back in it there with an excellent display of Blink Stalker micro.